go, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, hey. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah. Mask down, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On a roll, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, I want to take a look at an indicator that I've been pulling up on my live streams more and more often, and I get tons and tons of questions about it. So I want to go over and dive a little bit deeper into this indicator and let you guys know where you can find it. But before we get into it, guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of these great tutorials or urgent market updates that we upload to the channel. Now, if you guys watch the channel often, you will see me pull up an indicator on my candlesticks that actually points out divergences. There's also a bunch of EMAs on it, and it looks really, really cool, and it's super, super useful, and I get tons of questions about it, and that indicator is BitLab Market Intelligence. Now, this is an internal indicator from BitLab Academy, and I've been lucky enough to have a say in how this indicator was developed, and I got to test it out very, very thoroughly, and I'm absolutely loving it. So I want to dive a little bit deeper because I get a lot of questions on, what my settings are. People are asking me what they're looking at. It's a little confusing. It's a very advanced indicator, so it can look a little complex, but if you know what to look for and you know how to use it, it's actually super, super simple. That's actually the beauty of this indicator. It's very, very complex, and it takes a lot of things into account, but it's actually very, very easy to read. And at the end of the video, if you guys are interested in checking this indicator out for yourself, you can click the link in the description down below, and it will bring you over to the website where you can find this plus all of the other indicators that are incorporated into the BitLab trading suite. Now, with that being said, there are many indicators in this suite, but it would be a 2-hour-long video if we actually covered them all. So for this one, we're just going to go over BitLab Market Intelligence. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the charts. I'm going to show you guys how to get the BitLab Market Intelligence indicator onto your chart, and I'm going to break down my custom settings and how I prefer to set it up, as well as how I actually use this indicator while trading to find amazing entries and exits in and out of trades. Let's get into it. So guys, here we are on the Matic chart. We take a look at Bitcoin all the time. Why not break down a Matic chart? And it doesn't really matter what chart we look at because this indicator obviously works on any asset that you can find on TradingView. You could look at crypto, stocks, oil, gold, whatever you want. So let's start off by pulling up this indicator. If you just got the indicator, you could come up here to your indicators tab, click here, and you're going to want to come all the way down here to invite only scripts. And you'll see Alpha Labs. That is the BitLab trading suite. And if you got the whole suite, you should see all of these. You should see BitLab Hidden Volume, BitLab Market Intelligence, the Relative Extrema, and the Significant Movement. But you can get these all separately. So depending on what package you get, you should see these pop up. And today, we're going to go ahead and look at BitLab Market Intelligence. Obviously, you can click that little star to add it to your favorites. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on the name one time, and that will pop it up on our chart here. You'll see it. It does take a second to load because, like I said, it is a pretty advanced indicator. It's kind of heavy. So there you go, guys. You will see your candles actually change colors here. You'll also see a bunch of different EMAs. You'll also see these lines, and you'll see these flags, these blue, red, yellow, and green flags. And I'm going to break all this down. I know when you look at this, it looks like we're hacking the mainframe, but it's not as complicated as it seems. And then once you understand this, it's very easy and super, super simple to look at. Let me just break down what we're actually looking at here. Now, we are on the Matic 1-hour chart, just for some context. There's 3 main components to this indicator. And we'll start off with the candle colors. Now, I will say this, there is no specific meaning behind the actual color, but what we're going to be looking at here and what's important to pay attention to is the color changing, right? So yellow doesn't mean bullish or bearish. Green doesn't mean bullish. Yellow doesn't mean neutral. And red doesn't necessarily mean bearish. You could see here, coincidentally, this big drop was red, but you could see right here, this big pump was red as well. So the colors are not important, but what is important is the color and the intensity of the color. So when you're looking at a chart here, you can see we have this trend to the downside. It's basically blue. It gets pretty bright here as there is a lot of momentum or a lot of volume in this area, showing that this is a strong move with a lot of fuel in the tank. It gets bright, and then you see it starts to fade to a little bit of a darker blue, and then it gets even darker and starts to turn purple. Now, this is indicating a shift in momentum, indicating you could have an actual change in trend. And then you could see here, as it gets brighter and more purple, we are coming to the upside. And then you get those big purple candles are bright, very, very bright, because there's a lot of momentum behind them. And then you see the purple starts to fizzle out. It gets a little darker, and as the color changes, the trend changes to pink. And then as that pink starts to turn to red, it's indicating a reversal may be in store. And then you get these two red candles and a big pump up with those big bright red candles. Again, the color is not important, but here what you're looking for is going to be the shift in colors, right? So you see red, and then it kind of goes neutral. It's kind of reddish, darkish red. Then it starts to turn orange, and then the brighter it gets, the closer you get to that change in direction. And right here is a great example. Your candles go from yellow to dark green, and then as they get brighter, there is more and more momentum. The top of this pump with these big green candles are very bright, showing there's a lot of momentum. And as you see it starting to get very, very bright, you see them start to kind of fall off here. It gets darker and darker, and then we come down. And then right here, this is probably the best example right here. Also right here, you see you go from green, and then you get this big doji candle, and it changes from green to bluish purple. This is indicating, hey, the trend might be changing. And then the bluer these candles get, the more the trend changes. And then right here as well, you go from blue to purple, indicates a trend change. Now, I will be honest, I'm not a big candle color guy in general. It's just not something I really look at. Even with Lux Algo's candle coloring, I actually turn that off just because that's how I like the look of my charts, right? But for people who like candle coloring, you will absolutely love this feature of the BitLab Market Intelligence Indicator, as these changes in color can really indicate when trend is about to change. So simply, you have red candles here, they turn to orange, and yellow, you get a pump, right? And then you get this move to the downside with the green candles. And then as you start to fizzle out and change to the upside, they turn to blue. So pretty simple there. It's just important to know that the change in color, it represents a change in momentum, indicating a potential trend reversal. Just because I turn candle colors off does not mean you have to, guys. This is a complete personal preference. Again, any indicator with colored candles, if there's an option to turn them off, I typically do. It's just not something, I'm just not into candle colors. That's all. But if it's something you like to look at, this is some of the best candle coloring I have ever seen. The next component we're going to take a look at are these EMAs. Now, these are basically just EMAs. When you're above them, they will act as support, and then when you're below them, they will act as resistance. You can see right here, we were stuck below this EMA. You could call this an EMA ribbon. You were stuck underneath this, banging your head, and then once you flipped it to support, you got a lot of these EMAs to cross over, and then you hopped up, acted as support right here. Boom, came up, acted as support again before we got another move up, came down, found support on this one, came up again for one last hurrah, and then you actually came down for a little downtrend before getting back above them. Once we actually came down a little bit and got stuck underneath them, you can see this purple color is kind of hard to see, but you see the EMAs here. Price is coming up and banging its head up against here, and then finally you get a big rejection, and then right here we got a bunch of EMA crosses. We hopped up, found support, and now we're moving to the upside. So that functions just like an EMA ribbon, and the colors are also on that as well. So you can also kind of see as you have these EMAs change color, it also indicates that trend change. Now, moving on, you will notice that we have these dotted lines and we have these solid lines on the chart. You can see more of them right here. You got a dotted line here, a solid line here, as well as these flags. Now, this is the bread and butter of this indicator for me personally, right? The way I trade, I do actually use divergences very, very often. So this is a super, super helpful piece of this indicator. And this is probably what I use the most. Now, what this does, this will actually analyze your other indicators on TradingView or even external indicators, which we'll get into in a second. But this will actually hunt out to find those bullish and bearish divergences for you, so you don't have to find those lower lows with the higher lows, or your higher highs with your lower highs, or whatever you're looking for. This will actually hunt these divergences out for you. I'm gonna dig into how I change my settings here to make it a little easier to read. This is one of the most useful things. Not only does it find regular divergences, it also finds hidden divergences, and you can label them differently. That is the difference between these dotted lines and these solid lines. And also the flags are a little bit of a different color. And then we also have our highs and lows. You see we had a marked high here with a marked low here. So it does actually just label your highs and lows, which is also very useful if you want to look at some market structure. So we have the EMA ribbon, we have the candle colors, we have the divergence flags, and we have the highs and the lows. Now let's go ahead and dive into the settings, and I'm going to show you guys kind of how I prefer to set this up for myself, but just know that this is not any better than anyone else's settings. The way I have all my settings is only that way because that's what I prefer, but I figured you guys might want some insight, so let's go ahead and double click on one of these flags, or you can come up here and click on your settings wheel, and you'll see your settings pop up here. Now, I know this looks confusing, but it's very, very simple. Now, you can see at the top, we have our divergence type. You can choose only to show regular divergences, and it will take a second to change on our chart. You'll see it change here. There you go. Now those dotted lines are gone, and now we are just looking at regular divergences and not hidden divergences. You can also just look at hidden, or you can look at both. I like to keep this on both. Now, here is another very important setting. You can choose to wait for confirmation on the divergence, or you can choose to not wait for confirmation, right? So I do like to wait for confirmations before entering my trades, so I actually like to keep this unchecked. That way, it only shows me divergences that are confirmed. Now, it would be beneficial potentially to keep this on don't wait for confirmations. I do switch it on and off from time to time, because if it's showing you where a potential divergence might be, it's a perfect way to stay one step ahead of the market, because the indicator will point to like, hey, there's a bullish divergence forming here. It's just not confirmed. So if I see them forming, I typically just check if they're confirmed myself. But it's beautiful that you have that option. Super, super useful. And then you can see, I'm going to move this to the side here. You can choose to show your divergence lines. That will just take these lines showing you the higher highs or the lower highs or whatever, what have you. It will just take those off if you don't want to see those. That's just personal preference. We'll leave them on for now. If you wanted to just clean up your chart and you don't care about, marking the highs or seeing where the higher highs are or the lower highs are, you could just go ahead and turn those off to clean up your chart. And then the 3-dimensional candles, that is your candle coloring. Like I said, I typically turn this off just to clean things up a bit. I just don't really look at candle colors very often. So you can see there, now we just have my regular good old blue and purple candles. And then, like I said, those highs and lows, those are your pivot points. And if we turn that off, you'll see that low will go away and the high will go away, and now you don't have that. I typically turn that off as well. Just something I don't look at, but again, just personal preference. And I actually skipped over this one. You see show indicator names. This is another really cool thing about this indicator, guys. Not only does it let you know that there's a divergence forming, it lets you know how many divergences are forming and what indicators they're on. This is able to clean up your chart so much. If you click this drop-down menu, you can show full names, right? And you'll see that change right here. Now we do have a bullish momentum divergence. And if you scroll around here, you can see we also had a bullish divergence right here before this moved to the upside. And it was an RSI and OBV divergence. And then it says 2. That's letting you know that 2 indicators are showing a divergence here, right? So if you have a, if you have a time frame that is telling you that it has, it's telling you have 5 different divergences. You may want to take that a little bit more seriously if you have multiple indicators. Like right here, it's saying your relative extrema, the BitLab relative extrema, and the OBV has a divergence here. And then, if you had an RSI, a MACD, and a stochastic divergence as well, it would list all of them here and give you the number of divergences. Super, super helpful. And now those are all indicators that you don't necessarily need to keep on your chart all the time, unless you wanted to look at them for another reason. But if you're just looking for divergences, you could completely eliminate all these indicators, and then the BitLab Market Intelligence will just gather the information and spit out a simple little signal like this. So let's go back into the settings. I like to keep this on full just because I like to quickly be able to read, what kind of divergences there are. Now, the next settings are actually a little bit more advanced, but your pivot look back, your maximum pivot points to check, and your maximum bars, these are settings that I may actually actually create a different tutorial. I might go into these settings when we start showing actual trading strategies using this indicator. But basically, you could change these numbers around to change the amount of signals you get, right? So you could see if I change the pivot look back to 1, there are way more signals on our chart. And if we just go back to our regular default 16, it gives you less signals. So that's just kind of what these settings do. But again, I'm going to dive into these in our trading strategy videos, including this indicator, involving this indicator. So I'm not going to go too deep into them, but if you play around with them, you will notice that you're able to change how many signals you get. So if you're scalping, you might want to get more signals on your chart because you'll be in and out of more trades for a short period of time. And if you wanted to go for more swing trades, you would want to clean up the chart and get less signals that may be a little bit more accurate. So moving on here, you can see we have a checkbox here, show number of divergences. That's just going to turn this little number off. So you can see right here, we had a MACD divergence, and it was just a divergence on the MACD, nothing else. So you have a 1 there. And then here you have 2 indicators calling for it. So you have a 2. Pretty self-explanatory. If you want to get rid of that, you could just uncheck that box. It disappears. You could turn it on and off. Now, this one is actually very important, and this is show only last divergence. Now, this is big for me because you can see that, if you start looking at your chart, you may start to get a little overwhelmed by all these signals. And to be honest, this was a great signal here with the bullish divergence, with the bullish momentum divergence. It called this move to the upside perfectly with that momentum bull div. But this is kind of useless at this point, right? We're at this point in the market. So this is actually, this divergence is not going to do us any good. So if you want to clean up the older divergences, you can click this and say show only last divergence, and it will take all of the other divergences off your chart except for the most recent and most relevant ones. So I typically keep that as my default because I like to have my chart nice and clean. Now, this is the coolest part of this indicator, in my opinion. Check external indicators. And what this does is this can look at any other indicator that you may look at, whether it's a different paid indicator or a free indicator that you found on the community section of TradingView. Maybe you use this indicator to find divergences and you want BitLab Market Intelligence to find the divergences for you. So as you guys know, I do use other indicators as well, such as Market Cypher and Lux Algo. So for example, let's go ahead and turn on, I do use Market Cypher a lot. So we'll turn on Market Cypher B. There you go. Pretty familiar. Should be pretty familiar to you guys. I do look for divergences on Market Cypher pretty often. We can go into our market intelligence settings, make sure check external indicator is on, and then under external indicator, click the drop down and you will see Market Cypher B, blue wave, which is what we want to look for the divergences. Click that and then click OK. And we're going to have to find an area where we had a divergence on Market Cypher. Here, I'll actually just go ahead and uncheck show only last, and we'll be able to find it here. So this is a great example here. You can see this is calling for an RSI and external bullish divergence. So you have 2 divergences here, and we have our lower lows on our price as well as our higher lows on Market Cypher B, giving us that pinch point that we know is a bullish divergence. But now we don't need all this gack on our screen. We can just minimize Market Cypher B, clean up the chart, and now we know that there's a Market Cypher B bullish divergence in this area. So whether you're looking at Market Cypher, some kind of special RSI that you like that maybe is made from a third party, you could actually use market intelligence to find divergences on any indicator. Super, super, super helpful. That is probably my favorite part of this indicator, is that you could check external indicators for divergences. Super, super cool. And you can see here, these are just all the preset indicators by default. All of these will be checked. The BitLab Relative Extrema, which is another BitLab indicator. And then we have the on balance volume, the Chaikin money flow, relative strength index or RSI, stochastic momentum, MACD histogram, money flow index. So I like to have all these checked because if there's any kind of divergence, I like to know about it. And then if there's an indicator you don't really pay much attention to, maybe you don't put much weight on MACD divergences, you can either just uncheck it. If you don't really look at MACD divergences, maybe you just prefer RSI divergences. You can pick and choose which ones that the indicator will hunt for. Super, super useful. Now, moving on, you can see just some color options here. Now, for me, I like to change all of the bullish divergences to green. I don't care if it's hidden or or regular. I just like to make it green and red, so I know when I see a red flag, it's bearish, and when I see a green flag, it's bullish. Much easier for me to see, right? Green, I know that's going to be bullish. Green, it's bullish. Red, it's bearish. Green, it's bullish. I think you get the point. And, red, bearish, green, bullish. So actually pretty good example of how well this indicator works. So those are just some custom colors that I like to set just to make things a little simpler. And then you could see here, you could change your divergence lines. Right here, your regular divergence lines are set to solid by default, and your hiddens are set to dashed. You could obviously just change this to whatever you prefer, and then you could change the line width. We could turn this all the way up to 5, and it will just make the lines a little bit thicker so they're easier to see. So that's obviously just a personal preference. And then if you come over to style, I don't typically mess with these, but if for some reason you did not want to have your EMA ribbon, you do have the option to turn this off. Or if you just wanted to keep one of the EMA ribbons, you can do that as well. You can also mess around with the colors. I don't really recommend messing around with the colors at all. But the option is there if you want. I do like that they gave us the option to turn off the EMA ribbon if you just wanted to clean up your chart a little bit. You could do it where you just see the divergence flags, right? You don't even need the lines or the highs and the lows. So it's completely up to you guys how you set this up. But for me, I leave these alone. I like to keep the EMA ribbon there. And then for the most part, this is how I like to have this set up. Now, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about how I use this indicator to confirm trades. And it's pretty simple, right? It marks out divergences. This is one of the major things that I look at to get in and out of trades. This is actually a no-brainer for me. So now that we have all of my custom settings on the chart just the way I like, let's go ahead and use our bar replay mode to see if we could find a good example of how I would use this indicator to confirm some trades. And I'm gonna tease another BitLab indicator here just a little bit so I can show you how to add even more confidence to your entries. So guys, here we are in bar replay mode on TradingView. So I want to give you guys a little bit of an idea of how you can use this indicator in real time while trading. We got 4 divergences here on the BitLab Market Intelligence. So let's take a look at how you can use this live to actually find good trades or use this to confirm an entry, right? So here we are in bar replay mode. We'll play through. So here you go, right? We got a big pop to the upside. We do have this level of resistance. It's a local golden pocket. This is not a trading strategy video, so I'm just pulling up this example because it's quick. We do have a local golden pocket here, which we know is going to be a good level of resistance. And now we are pulling 4 bearish divergences on Market Intelligence. You have a MACD, RSI, stochastic, and momentum divergence here. Massive higher highs into key resistance, and you're getting it labeled right here for you. Absolutely spoon-fed. So this is where you can expect, especially because there's 4 divergences, this is one you would want to put a little bit of weight on. And if we come over to our BitLab relative extrema, you can see here that with this indicator, when these bars come out of the green wave, this is indicating that a move may be extreme and might not be sustainable. So once you see this, you're thinking that maybe this move to the upside is already a little bit over exaggerated and not sustainable. And then you get an absolute rip, which is likely a liquidity grab with these 2 giant green candles. And then the divergences come out and go, nope, you're going back down. You grab that liquidity and now you're coming back down. Get the signal right there, and then it is likely that you will come to the downside, which obviously we do. And then you see our bars come out of relative extrema's cloud here, indicating this move, even right here, might be a little unsustainable, and then you're starting to print some divergences here. So it may be, there may be a little bounce in your future, but obviously you would want to do a little bit more TA than just looking at this indicator. You don't just want to look at market intelligence and market intelligence only. You want to have your support and resistance. You want to look at different time frames to confirm. But I just wanted to show you guys that when you approach key resistance like this, typically I'm looking for divergences anyway, and the fact that it pops up super easy on these signals is absolutely invaluable. And then again, you can actually confirm this with relative extrema. You could see right here, we did hit a local bottom before trending back to the upside for a short period of time. And you see this bar came far out of your cloud. So you were already expecting that. And I don't know, but it was likely that there was some form of divergence here, which you could have confirmed it with. So guys, I did just want to kind of give you an intro to this market intelligence indicator from BitLab. BitLab Academy because it is very, very useful. If you guys watch my channel, you know I look for divergences all the time, and the fact that this lets you pick custom indicators to look for divergences, and just how it's so easy to read and gives you those signals, letting you know how many divergences are there, so you can know if it's going to be a strong move to the downside or a weak move to the downside or upside, is super, super invaluable, and it cleans up your chart, which again, sometimes a clean chart and clean mind can actually improve your trading. As you guys know, I always say sometimes too much information is bad information. So when you have 50 indicators on your chart, it can actually wind up doing more damage than good. So with all that being said, guys, I think that is all the time I got for today's video. Again, I will be coming out with more videos that are more strategy focused, but I just wanted to break down the indicator, let you guys know what you're actually looking at, a little bit of what goes into the actual indicator, and then I just wanted to show you guys how I have my actual settings set in case you were interested. Obviously, I do like a clean chart, so I do take a lot of things off, but if you like candle colors, this is some of the best candle coloring I've ever seen. And again, did want to tease that little relative extrema indicator as well, but we're going to go deeper into this in the strategy video, guys. And guys, don't forget, if you're interested in the BitLab trading suite, you can check the link in the description down below. So with that being said, that's all the time I got for this video. See you in the next one. Frankie Candles out.